Hi, welcome back to the show with Joanna and Michael. I'm delighted to say we're now joined by the dog rescuer and author Niall Harbison. So Niall is here with Hope, as you can see. You tell me where you found Hope, first of all.
Actually, in the middle of the Thai jungle, and she looks peaceful and happy here, but I found her, she'd been shot with a nail gun. There was a nail sticking out of her, and all her neck had been sliced, so she was really badly abused. But
So this is Hope, and the book is about Tina, and Tina's another dog who, well, you describe it as having changed the world. Explain why.
Well, she probably changed me most of all because she'd been on a chain her whole life, and she'd been used for breeding puppies, and if you saw a picture of her at the start, she was just skin and bones, horrible. So after I saved her, she only lived for 6 months actually, but I rebuilt her into a beautiful dog. And that was her when I initially found her, horrible state.
Poor her.
But
Look at that.
rebuilt her, and she turned out, that's her 3 months later, and fantastic dog. And then sadly got really bad news. Just as she got better, her kidneys failed. So the damage had been done.
Yeah.
But as I was burying her, I said to myself, I'm going to do an awful lot of work in your legacy. So we've sterilised, which is like neutering or spaying. We've sterilised 80,000 dogs since she's gone.
In Thailand, mainly.
In Thailand.
And what is it about Thailand that's brought you there to save their dogs?
Well, I used to be an alcoholic. I ended up in ICU. I used to work in the corporate world and just escaped there, and then I went a bit too far and nearly drank myself to death, to be honest. And then once I was in hospital, I just decided.
I noticed that Hope has started wagging her tail when you said corporate world. I don't know what
Yeah, they're definitely linked. They're definitely linked. I brought a few sneaky treats on for her. So
there we go. Lovely one. So you had a hard time. You ended up in Thailand, and when you got through it yourself, you started looking at the dogs and the way they were treated.
Yeah, well, I just thought I was going to die, and it's a very good crystallising moment to think about what you've achieved in life or what you've done. And I thought I'd achieved nothing, and I was miserable. So I gave up drink, I gave up, Valium, everything I was addicted to, and went on to save dogs. And we feed 1,200 every day now, and we're trying to change the world. But all that came from Tina.
Wow, just an amazing story. So you mainly based here or there?
No, in Thailand. We've got a big team there. And then we have partners in Indonesia and Sri Lanka, and we're trying to scale it up even more to help as many dogs as possible. And we're even building a hospital and, a big operation.
I love dogs, and I fear always finding out how they're treated in other countries, because you would never stop caring and never stop being upset by it.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, literally, I'm looking at Hope here, and, we're in London. Like, she looks like a perfectly happy, wonderful dog. She is. She's, wonderfully spoiled. But, I remember the day I found her, she was literally, there was 3 of us. The nail had been drilled into this part of her leg.
Sweetheart.
Shot with a nail gun, and, we had to pull it out. So, but they're wonderfully resilient, and that's what they taught me, Tina and Hope and all that, is to live in the moment. That you can forget your baggage and move on.
And what is it like bringing them back to this country?
It's quite
difficult.
Tricky. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Takes about 3 months, a lot of paperwork, and we're never going to fix the street dog problem by adopting dogs.
No.
It's a lovely story. It's nice for us to do for a few dogs, but there's also a lot of dogs already in the UK. So our focus is on sterilising and maybe even legislation and education, like the big picture things.
Which country in the world treats dogs the worst?
I do think Southeast Asia is not great, and I would extend that to sort of, India, Indonesia, Thailand. But it is a problem even around the Caribbean and South America. It's my mission is there's 500 million street dogs in the world, believe it or not. My mission in my lifetime is to halve that to 250 million.
That's why the book is called Tina, the Dog Who Changed the World, because that's what Tina set you on this path. And I was going to ask you whether there's any famous person who's adopted a dog that you've brought over. Go on.
It was so surprising to me. It was Liam Gallagher, the Oasis frontman. We have an application form on the website, and this was early days, and I went in one day, and it's, the name comes up, and it was Liam Gallagher, and I said, there must be a lot of Liam Gallaghers. Then the next line on the form is, occupation, and it said Singer. And I was like, oh, this must be my mates, winding me up. But it turned out it was him, and he adopted Buttons and has been a wonderful supporter. And he actually, funny thing was, I was like, oh, what are we going to do? Are we going to ask him if he's got a garden and a fenced-in garden and cats? So we did a full interview with Liam Gallagher, which was pretty surreal. But it turned out a wonderful dog lover, so it was brilliant.
I'm just thinking that when just hearing your story, Niall, that when you brought Tina back effectively from the dead and then she died, and particularly because you'd been through all of your alcohol journey and all that must have been a grief like no other.
Yeah, and do you know what? It was 18 months ago, I still haven't really processed it. I buried her, and I just remember letting out a sort of a scream when I buried her. It came out of nowhere. And I said, I'm gonna do this for you. I'm going to make sure something good. So like part of that was like writing a book, building the hospital, sterilizing the dogs. But I think after all this is done and the book is finished, and I'm going to go somewhere and sit down on a beach and think about her, because I haven't really processed it properly yet.
Understood. Okay, well, the book is called Tina, the Dog Who Changed the World. It's out now. Do stay with us now. Well, actually, if we head back to the desk, we can look at some of the other papers. You could bring Hope. You coming, Hope?
There you go. Her mum is just over there.
Well, Hope's going to wander. Okay, brilliant. Well, she's lots to explore here. Come on around here now. Yeah. That's brilliant. Isn't that lovely? What do you think of that, Joanna?
Oh, well, I love dogs, and I think what you're doing, Niall, is absolutely amazing. So bravo to you.
Thank you very much.
It's an impressive ambition as well, to halve from 500 million to 250 million. That's not a small task to set yourself.
Yeah, well, we're shooting for the stars. Let's hope we can. Even if we got a tenth of that, would be amazing. Yeah. We're going to try and go big.
Yeah, love your ambition.
Cheers.
There's a story in the Times you'll enjoy, Niall, which is all about pets at home here in the UK, saying they're more comforting than spouses in times of stress. I didn't even get into your personal life, did I, at all? You can declare.
Yeah,
with someone or not with someone if you want.
I'm single. Hank is my big dog. He's a huge dog. He's my partner in crime at the moment. No, they are, aren't they? They're wonderful companions. And the one thing I hear the most often is, dogs are better than people. I hear that maybe 100 times every day, which is true. But you do still have to have relationships with people.
No, but there's a lot to be. I don't want to be too sentimental here, but dogs didn't start the banking crisis. Dogs didn't start World War I, World War II, the Falklands War, the Boer War, Vietnam. I can't think of a single war dogs did start, actually.
They've also never done an operation on anyone.
Okay, there's always a Michael to ruin it.
And you have
swings and roundabouts.
Not you have to feed them; they won't feed you either.
Yeah.
That's true. But there is again, we can be so sort of negative about the human state, but the cruelty of humans, you don't see that so much in dogs. Will fight, of course, but usually because they want something. They don't hurt each other for pleasure, do they?
No, that's a very good point, and the cruelty inflicted on animals is just horrendous. But dogs is usually around territory, or they do, funny enough, fight. It's either territory, attention, they get very jealous, or food. Those are three.
Well, maybe that is the same as humans. Maybe humans aren't cruel for the sake of cruelty, are they?
I suppose you probably don't have psychopath dogs who are just sort of trying to torture other dogs for the sort of joy and the joy of it. Or maybe you do. I haven't met one. They seem like they're more... We
basically, dogs are coming out ahead in this.
I think they're edging it.
I had a friend who went through a hard time. She said she had this dog and she used to just hug it and scream into its back. And I thought, that's a lovely, lovely thing.
Yeah. They're wonderfully comfortable, and they don't ask for much in return. They're just a bit of food, bit of love, and they're incredibly loyal and great creatures.
Joanna, in the Telegraph, villagers. Here we are. We've got all of our animal stories for you here. Yeah. Villagers kick up a fuss over therapy donkeys, and this is because they've been braying.
I love this story, and actually it's so relevant to me because in our village, we've got 2 fields away from me, we've got a field of rescue donkeys, and we hear them braying late at night and early in the morning. This is Wiltshire.
Right.
And I absolutely adore it. And I can tell you there ain't nothing much worse than a braying donkey than a hooting Canada goose. We have those on the river at home and they start at dawn. give me a shotgun.
So hang on. Are you happy with the donkeys braying or
Do you
not?
know, absolutely. It's really interesting, this story, because this is Little Massingham in Norfolk. And there's 11 of these donkeys, and they're therapy donkeys, and they are used by their owner, Karen Rust, she takes them into care homes and hospitals and schools. I mean, how marvellous. We've just been talking about pets as therapy, and this is exactly, you can have a good old weep into the shoulder of a donkey. And what is so lovely is the NIMBYs in her village, who are sort of saying, great idea, but not here, sunshine, have been outvoted by the council, who have offered her their wavering support. And at long last, we're seeing sense when it comes to something which is a fundamental part of rural Britain, isn't it? Noise.
I think so, and I'm always amazed. I was talking to an artist once who moved into the countryside because he liked the light, and then the first thing he does is launch a complaint that the neighbour's got a cockerel. Well, it's in the countryside.
It's the rural version of people who move into an inner city and then complain that they moved above a bar, and so they want the bar to be closed.
The country's really noisy.
Yeah, it is noisy, and that's fine, isn't it? The countryside noises. It's funny that whenever anything is suggested, there is this group of people, and we call them NIMBYs here, who just go mad about anything. It's really weird.
Well, I think you're right, which is having a council that votes to just say, get over it, I think is quite positive.
Yeah.
We need a lot more of that.
But I've never heard about a braying complaint before. Have you ever got into issues with your dogs?
No,
and
I
stuff?
lived in the countryside. The dogs are a little bit loud, but it's like the guy said, if you don't like the noise, don't move to the countryside, donkeys are loud, though. I did have two. You wouldn't... The first time you hear it, it's quite startling.
It is, but
the braying breathing in and out, so it's like that.
You get a double whammy.
You get the double. And you're near that and you're not complaining?
Not at all. And actually, I live right next door to a church, and that chimes the hour and the half hour from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, and I am completely oblivious to it now.
Yeah. But also, I think there's not much that can't be solved by earplugs, generally.
Quite right.
Even, flight paths and everything else. The therapy animals thing, though, is really big in the world now, because I think it was American Airlines which gave a list of the number of therapy animals they'd had to take on board. And they said, this is now getting out of hand. And we've been told we've got to take... And there were snakes, there was a goose, there was even a pig being taken on planes in internal flights in the USA.
Yeah, so obviously there was always a carve-out in law for guide dogs. So anyone can say you can't have dogs in the pub, but no one can say you can't have a guide dog in the pub. And so I think, in a way, people have maybe taken advantage of that carve-out and said, well, why just guide dogs for blind people? What about any dog for someone who might suffer mild anxiety? And I think you're potentially muddying the water a bit too much, or any animal.
Yeah.
I saw one yesterday, was a Great Dane being taken on an American Airlines flight. I was on TikTok. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was a Great Dane, and it was a sort of an influencer type model. And she registered it as a therapy dog. The dog could barely fit in the airplane door, and it was clear she wanted the reaction and she wanted the attention.
Okay. As Michael says, that's starting to get a bit silly, I think. And I don't know what happens if the plane goes down. The dog's got to get out on the slide, It could be chaotic. And also, does the dog have an extra seat?
Yeah, they do in America.
Do they have a seat?
Yeah.
What? Okay,
if the plane was going down, I would quite like a dog to distract
I think
me.
American Airlines are enjoying it because they're internal. They're not subject to the flight rules about going, to other countries and stuff. So they can. It's a bit in the States. Plane travel is a bit like going on a National Express coach, isn't it? So there we are. Okay, the Mirror has a bit more of Catherine, Princess of Wales, talking about her Kate escape, and just as she recovers from cancer. She's celebrating spring. We can have a look.
Over the past year, nature has been my sanctuary. The natural world's capacity to inspire us, to nurture us, and help us heal and grow is boundless, and has been understood for generations.
What do we think of that?
I suppose I would naturally be very suspicious and cynical about the royals telling us how much they like this sort of thing that everyone likes. But obviously she's recovering from cancer, and there will be lots of people who are on also that journey who will watch that and think, I also got sort of solace and comfort from nature and will feel seen by that. So I don't feel like I'm in a position to say anything other than it's quite nice.
Yeah, you want to criticise it. I suppose it's stating the obvious in a way. Or maybe it's not obvious to us now, Niall. Maybe we've left nature behind and we need reminding.
Well, yeah, no, I live in the middle of the jungle, so I love nature, but I was actually just watching that thinking, I obviously don't follow the royals because I'm in Thailand, but I was wondering where the corgis are now that the Queen's gone. Are they still around? Or
Some have gone to the King and Queen, and I think some have gone to the other sons. I think
the other sons who some of whom can't be mentioned. Yeah.
Yes.
The just because you're in Thailand, I want to mention White Lotus.
Yes.
Have you got across that?
Unfortunately, it's filmed on the island where I live. I say unfortunately because the influx of like tourists and development and people wanting to stay hotels is unreal.
Is it? Well, just because of the White Lotus? I suppose it's been out in the States before it came here, probably.
Yeah.
So you've got now people just wanting to stay at that hotel?
Yeah, there's people wandering around dressed in, like it's like the whole island is like a movie set.
What, they're dressed like the three American women? Oh, incredible.
I'm hoping it might sort of fizzle out and they move to the next.
I'm sorry to say I would be one of them. Do you watch the series, you two?
I was disappointed in Series 3. I loved Season 1 and Season 2. Series 3 I stopped halfway through, and I won't be I would actually love to visit that island, but it wouldn't be as a White Lotus.
I didn't think it was as good. I think they got a little bit lazy.
It was lacking.
But there is a great final episode in Series 3, which brings it all together. But no, I'm afraid I would be one of those, Niall. I'm so sorry. I would go and visit your island and dress up as one of those, I don't know, three women or whatever the costume is.
Cool, that's a window into your soul.
No, or who's the guy who was out of his head on drugs the whole time? The father who's like, Jason Isaacs. You've not even seen it, have you?
No, I haven't.
And it's on your island.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He was brilliant. He was in Harry Potter.
He was.
The nasty one,
I think
wasn't
he's
he?
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Malfoy, was it?
No, it was Dad. Dad of, wasn't it?
Lucius Malfoy, Dad of, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. Niall, thank you. Sorry, we tend to go meandering here. Like a sort of out-of-control river, but it's brilliant to see. I'm hoping the dog hasn't left the building. Has he gone to the BBC or something? Where is Hope? Is Hope all right? Yes, gone for a rest, I'm told. Yeah. As well as his book, Niall is also appearing as a guest on An Evening With, and he's on at the Barbican tonight in central London, so good luck with that. It'll be fantastic. In the meantime, do get your hands on a copy of the book. Here we are, got it right here. Tina, the dog who changed the world, which we've heard so much about today. More after the break. Matt will be here and we'll find out.